Welcome to the Oman and the Amarok Adventure Tour 2018. We're expecting 3 days of gravel ground, sand dunes and of course the sea. And later we will talk about the Amarok as well. Everything starts at the airport of Muscat. After a warm welcome, we choose our cars and get a short explanation about the upcoming adventure.
Also, herzlich willkommen im Oman. Salam alaikum.
Our trip includes 2 nights. First, we drive parallel to the coast, direction south, and then into the Hadjar Mountains. On the second day, we drive through the sandy desert. The third day is to return to Muscat. The first part of our tour takes us on standard roads to our first stop at the Bimar sinkhole. From there it continues, mostly on unpaved roads, directly to the beach at the Gulf of Oman. After a snack, the real adventure begins. On the steep and stony slopes of the Hadjar Mountains, our Amarok can show what it's capable of for the first time. So the end of our first day is arriving. We did about 220 kilometers today in our Amaroks. The first of the trip was on the motorway, but then we went into the desert. It was great fun. Now we're here uphill about 1,700 meters above sea level. Very stormy up here. We built up our tents already, but we fixed them at the car because we're afraid of that they just fly away. So at the moment I'm really looking forward for a very night just to get some rest because it was a very long day. But I think tomorrow will be more exciting. So the first night is done, and the good news is we haven't been blown away because it was quite stormy the night and of course very cold. We have loads of water on the tent and some of it also at the inside, but at the end of the day I slept quite well. And then when you stand up in the morning you have this view that's absolutely amazing, and now I'm really looking forward to the next drive through the desert in my Amarok. Klaus, first night in the Amarok, I think you were a bit different to us. We slept in the tent, you slept inside the car. How was that experience?
This experience was really good because it was warm inside of my Amarok, but outside it was, how do you say, fucking cold. And so I made the decision to sleep with neither inside of the Amarok, but now I need to have something like a warm coffee and a toast.
Yeah, enjoy your breakfast. Our Amarok features the V6 3-liter diesel engine with 204 horsepower, and that comes with a manual 6-speed gearbox and of course 4-wheel drive. To make the car work here in the desert, it offers more than 24 centimeters of ground clearance, and we have 3 different skid plates mounted to protect our car. And I have to say, driving that car here in the desert is a pure pleasure. First, we have to leave the Hadjar Mountains on rocky tracks. The visit of the Wadi Bani Khalid is a welcome break and a good opportunity for lunch. So now we're here at the gas station to get some diesel into our Amaroks, but I have to say the car is after 380 kilometers still half full, so that's quite cool because we only drove off-road. But more important is we're going from here into the desert, which means sand, and therefore we have to lower the pressure of our tires. We're going down to 1.2 2 bar, which is really, really low and sounds horrible, but on sand that works great because that increases the footprint of our tire. That gives us a lot more grip, and that works perfectly in the sand dunes. Driving through this sandy desert is really fun, and the whole group is doing well. Shortly before reaching our night camp, there is a real challenge waiting for the group. If people want to go into the sand dunes in the past, they used camels like that guy over there because they do have all-wheel drive and they know the sand quite well. Today we're going to try that with our Amarok. So we go up that hill there, pure sand. Some of us failed already. I hope I will have more luck than they. The last night we slept in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, in a camp, in these little tiny houses. But for us that was absolutely great because we had a real bed. But have a closer look, that's really traditional. But a lot more important for us was the extension of our tent because we had our own bathroom. That means our own toilet and our own shower. So now we're here with our Amaroks in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert. And very important is, even if you talk to locals and you're talking about a crossing, which means you drive through the desert, they always be a bit impressed because they said it's still not really safe. So there's still a bit of a risk, but we have to be honest, we're a big group, we have loads of cars with us. And most of the track is quite easy to drive. Yes, of course, it's sand, but it's not so hard to drive. But here and there, we do have very loose sand, we do have dunes, and of course you can get stuck, and then it can get very dangerous if you're alone. But overall, I really have to say, it's absolutely great fun. So now the most important bit of our crossing here, my driving tips. As my camera guy says, never forget left side clutch, right side throttle, but that's for sure not everything. When you drive through the desert, you normally use the track other people did before, but that's not always the best idea because very often the ground is very soft there, you have a very deep track there, so most of the time it's better to find your own way, so stay on the track but find a new way, because then the drive, as you now can hear, it's a lot more smooth, and very important you don't get stuck. And another thing which is which you have to know is, if you drive uphill, try to get some speed up front because that makes life a lot easier. And if you think your car will not make it, always try to go down, so because that gives you the extra push, and then turn around and try it again, and normally then it will work. The way back to civilization works without any problems. And all participants need to make their Amaroks roadworthy again. That was our trip through the Oman with a Volkswagen Amarok, and I really have to say we were very lucky because they've changed the route because it was far too long. But finally we made it back to Muscat and we're at the sea now. Overall, I have to say we really had a great time. We went on gravel grounds, very long distances. We went through the desert, through the sand with that car, and it was an absolute pleasure to drive. And I have to criticize, of course, because that's a review. And if I think about it, yes, there is something quite hard. You're not allowed to drink any alcohol in public here in the Oman.